Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar for the distribution sector. Thank you for joining us, whether you're tuning in from a builder's merchant, a timber yard, an electrical wholesaler, or a food and beverage distributor. We built today's session with you in mind. I'm Richard Jenkins, Proposition Manager here at Klipboard, and I look after our collection delivery portfolio. So anything that helps you get stock out of the warehouse, onto vehicles, and to your customers with fewer failed drops, tighter ETAs, and less noise on the phones.
And I'm Lydia Smith, Proposition Manager for our warehouse management portfolio. So my focus is everything that happens before Richard's World takes over, from stock accuracy, pick and pack efficiency, branch and depot visibility, and ultimately making sure that the right product is in the right place at the right time. So between us today, we want to give you a really practical view of what's happening in distribution right now, where margin is quietly leaking, and how leading distributors are taking back control without ripping out the tech investments you've already made.
So a quick bit of housekeeping before we dive in. We'll be running the session for around 45 minutes with time for Q&As at the end. Please do drop your questions into the chat as we go, and we'll get to as many as we can. The session is being recorded, so you'll get a copy afterwards along with a few resources we'll reference along the way.
And not to forget our really important speakers who are joining us today, including Sam Voke from our partner Netstock. Alongside Sam, we'll also be speaking to Rick Kranak, who's based in the US, and also speaking to Grant Hurst, who's based in the UK, around some of the challenges that our customers are seeing and how they can address those challenges. So what are we actually going to cover today? The theme of the webinar is Control Your Margins, Control Your Operations, how distributors are building resilience. Because let's be honest, distributors are under pressure from every angle right now. Supplier costs are rising, fuel and labor keep climbing, demand fluctuating, and your customer expectations keep growing. So protecting margin now depends on better visibility, tighter control, and faster decisions.
Yeah, exactly. And too often what we see is cash tied up in slow moving stock, deliveries slipping and margin quietly leaking through purchasing and fulfilment. It's rarely one big issue, it's kind of hundreds of small ones stacked up. So today we'll walk you through 5 main themes: where margin is most commonly lost, how to free up cash tied up in excess or slow moving inventory, how connected delivery, ePod and notifications improves visibility and customer service, how real-time insights help teams track deliveries, and practical ways to optimize routes.
And today we're going to include some real-world examples of customers already seeing the benefit, so you can see what good actually looks like in practice.
The big message that we want you to take away today is this: you don't need to overhaul your entire tech stack to get back in control. It's about layering the right visibility and mobility on top of what you've already got and doing it in a way that pays back quickly.
So before we get into the how, we're just going to spend a couple of minutes on the why, because the market backdrop is a really important part of this story. So obviously the headline is that distributors are being asked to move faster with less room for error while those costs and complexity keep rising. So we're just going to take a quick look at some of the key challenges.
Yeah, so first, demand is softening as construction and consumer confidence kind of has a wobble. Distributors serving construction-linked sectors are facing weaker workloads and delayed project starts. The UK BMF has downgraded its 2026 building materials sales forecast. South Africa's economy is only expected to grow around 1.2% in 2026, and North American food and beverage volume growth is forecast to be flat, with any gains driven by price rather than demand. So the days of growth papering over the inefficiencies are, for a lot of you, on pause at the moment.
Second, we're finding that it's margin leakage and not big losses, which is the number one profit drain. So this is the one that's coming up in almost every conversation that the Klipboard team has with our customers. So across builders, merchants, timber, electrical and food wholesalers, margins are being eroded by supplier price rises that aren't reflected in selling prices. Cash is tied up in the wrong stock, and the rising cost to serve on every delivery. So our own report on the state of wholesale distribution in 2026 found that 62% of US distributors expect cost of goods sold to rise 10% or more, and only 17% have been able to shift to non-impacted suppliers. So supplier flexibility is limited, which means the pressure lands squarely on your own internal operations.
Absolutely. And third, inventory complexity is intensifying across every vertical. More SKUs, more branches, more channels. Distributors are being asked to hold the right stock at the right time, and researchers found that stock availability is now being prioritised over cash flow. Australian timber merchants describe supply as the elephant in the room thanks to native logging restrictions and import volumes. And US electrical wholesalers are grappling with obsolete stock, long lead times, and fragmented supplier relationships.
Next, we're finding that e-commerce and self-service ordering are becoming really important. So we've seen it everywhere. B2B buyers are now expecting the same speed, visibility, and reordering ease that they get from consumer platforms like Amazon. UK Electrical and Building Materials Commentary says that digital adoption is no longer optional. Food service research is finding that 67% of buyers rate ordering convenience in their top three supplier selection criteria. And South African wholesalers are under growing pressure to modernize as inflation and digitally savvy customers reshape the retail landscape.
And fifth, supply volatility, tariffs, and foreign exchange are reshaping unit economics. From US tariff pressure to South African rand volatility and Australian fuel driven cost shocks, distributors are dealing with unpredictable landed costs. The volatility is exactly why real time visibility across delivery and cost to serve matters so much right now.
Next, we're finding that labor, skills, and admin costs are squeezing already lean operations. So in the US, wholesale operating expenses averaged around 16% of sales in 2023, with net margins of just 3.8% globally. And our own research found that 99% of UK distributors deal with late payments, and 56% spend 6 or more hours a week on payment admin. So that's a full day a week gone across builders, merchants, electrical and food wholesalers, where manual processes, disconnected systems, and those skills shortages are stretching teams thin. So, pulling that all together, the market reality is that you're being squeezed on demand, cost, complexity, digital expectations, and compliance all at once. And that's exactly why business as usual, with manual processes, spreadsheets, disconnected branches, and reactive delivery, isn't going to hold up.
Which brings us neatly to the next section, where these pressures actually show up in the day to day of a distribution business and what leading distributors are doing differently.
We're now going to speak to two of our experts, Grant Hurst, a Senior Business Development Manager in the UK, and Rick Kranak, a Senior Sales Executive based in the US, about what they're actually seeing on the ground in terms of what our customers are experiencing. So over to you, Grant. Where are you seeing margin leak in distribution businesses today?
One thing that we've noticed is that most businesses aren't short of sales. The challenge is protecting the margin on those sales. What we're seeing is that the margin doesn't really disappear because of one big issue. It's a lot of small things adding up, supplier price changes, and then the selling price is not always keeping pace with that. So if they don't always have the visibility and the best purchasing options, then operational costs like fuel and labour continue to rise, and it causes more of a problem than they expected. On their own, these things don't seem to be significant, but across thousands of orders every month, they can have a huge impact. The businesses performing the best are the ones that can identify those leaks quickly and make decisions based on real time information rather than finding out weeks or months later.
Over to you, Rick. Same question in terms of margin. Where's it actually being lost in businesses? Is this one big issue or are lots of small things adding up?
Yeah, it's actually occurring a lot where folks are purchasing materials at a certain cost, putting them into their quotes, and then with the recent changes with tariffs and just general costs from manufacturing increasing, they're seeing that from the time they start doing the project in the quote stage to the time they actually win the order, costs have gone up significantly enough, which ends up reducing the margin on their orders. And it's a big leak that's affecting a lot of distributors today.
And back over to you, Grant. How much cash are you seeing tied up in the wrong stock across branches and warehouses?
I think this comes up in almost every conversation we have. Many businesses think that they need to buy in stock and keep buying more stock, but in reality, they've already got it. It's just sitting in another branch or warehouse where nobody actually realizes that it's available. Or it could be as simple as they've got multiple products under the different names. So when they're looking for stock, they just aren't getting a true picture. That means that cash is tied up in slow moving stock while the businesses are still placing new orders and spending money for products that already exist somewhere else in the business. When businesses have that visibility across their locations, they can move stock before buying more, reduce the excess inventory, and make much better purchasing decisions. That releases working capital and helps ensure they're investing in the products that are actually selling.
Rick, what do you think? Are businesses sitting on inventory that they don't realize they've got?
This actually happens quite a bit because a lot of inventory systems only show by location. So there's not a centralized visibility for folks to make decisions when they're doing restocks or purchasing special orders they may have actually in one of their branches. So what ends up happening is they don't realize that store number 8 has that inventory. So they end up purchasing another batch of that particular product. And in some cases, we're finding our customers need to meet minimum order quantities, which even increases that spend higher than necessary, all with that inventory being spread out across different branches to fulfill those orders they're receiving in. But the lack of visibility is the real problem.
I'll pass this question over to you, Grant. What does poor delivery visibility actually cost the distributor?
I think it's much bigger than the cost of just one missed delivery. If a customer doesn't know where their order is, they ring the branch calls whoever manages the deliveries, then they call the driver, and suddenly several people are involved just to answer one question. And then it gets worse if that delivery has to be repeated because nobody was on site or the wrong products were loaded. You've immediately increased your delivery costs and potentially damaged the customer relationship. The distributors that are really standing out in this area are giving customers accurate ETAs. They're trying to be proactive with updates and also providing automatic proof of deliveries. That then reduces unnecessary calls, improves customer confidence, and allows staff to focus on more valuable work.
And over to you, Rick, sort of same question. When a business can't see where its deliveries are, what's the real impact and what does that do to the customer relationship?
Yeah, not having it really comes back to the customer success model. I was speaking with one distributor recently, and they really track the times and the windows for delivery, which makes the contractor in this case be very happy with the distributor because they need their materials on the job site to complete their tasks while they have the crews. So if a distributor fails in that, especially under the building materials segment, it can have a big impact on them switching and losing business to a competitor who can deliver on time with all the products to complete the job because it's a very the window's very tight while they have the labor working, and they want to make sure they have the right materials at the job site to complete it. And if that distributor can't do it, they'll move on to another company very fast.
I'll pose this question to you, Rick, first. How disconnected are branch, warehouse, and transport operations in the businesses that you're working with?
I would say a lot of the organizations that are running legacy systems have kind of built an add-on to that base system over the course of 10, 20, even 30 years. So what happens is a lot of the visibility to what they're seeing with their systems is not up to date for the 2026 era and beyond. So it really causes challenges within their organizations that they're starting to really find are holding them back from expanding and scaling. And that's really where ERP1 can come in and help these distributors.
And what would you say, Grant? Are branch, warehouse, and transport teams genuinely joined up, or are they all working from different information? And what is that costing them day to day?
I think it's a lot more common than people think. quite often each department is doing a good job, but they're just working from systems or different information. Branch teams can't always see what's happening in the warehouse, or transport are working from a different system altogether, or they're working from paper, and everyone just spends so much time chasing updates. That then leads to duplicated work, delays, and unnecessary admin. When them areas are connected and everyone is working from the same information, decisions do become much quicker, communications improve, and customers get a far more consistent experience.
So how are trade customers' digital expectations changing what good looks like for these businesses?
Yeah, actually, a lot of these folks, have got into that doing having digital capabilities. But what I found is that it was kind of an afterthought. So they're building it and trying to have it work in with their existing infrastructure, and a lot of times it's a manual process. So they have a separate application doing the front end digital experience, but then it doesn't really connect well with the back end order processing, inventory visibility. So the handoff's kind of fumbled, and it's not quite as strong as some people would appear by looking at their presence online. So I really think good looks nice when you're doing the customer transaction, but on the back end, I think a lot of organizations are struggling with the connectivity from those front end digital orders, getting them into their existing systems. And that's where we tend to help out our customers have a true bi-directional communication with those orders to their back end for processing.
And what would you say, Grant? Customers expect a lot more digitally these days. How is that raising the bar for distributors?
Trade customers have definitely changed over the last few years. Whether they're builders, electricians, plumbers, contractors, that they're all expecting the same level of convenience that they get everywhere else. They want to check stock, place orders online, see accurate pricing, and know exactly when their delivery is going to arrive. I think digital is no longer a nice to have. It's becoming the standard expectation. And the distributors embracing that are making life easier for customers, whilst also reducing the amount of manual work for their own teams.
And this one is just for you, Grant. What's happening to cost to serve across the delivery network right now?
I think every distributor is feeling the same pressure. Fuel costs, wages, and transport costs have all increased. So every unnecessary journey or failed delivery has a much bigger impact than it used to. The businesses we're seeing perform well are focusing on making every delivery as efficient as possible, whether that's route planning, improved visibility, or reducing failed drops. They all help protect profitability. When margins are tight, improving operational efficiency can make a real difference.
So, Rick, if you had to sum up the common thread across everything you're seeing, what would it be?
Yeah, I'd really say the common theme across all these challenges is visibility and control. A lot of the companies know they have challenges being able to just see things across all their systems. It's impacting not only their sales, but their cash flow. And those are the two major metrics that companies need to improve to grow. And they're at a point now where it's so competitive with all the other distributors having maybe a leg up on them that they're looking to improve that customer service and take back the control of their operations. And it's been a great time to work with these distributors in that journey.
And over to you, Grant, pulling all of that together, what's the one thing that keeps coming up?
For me, it all comes back to visibility. The distributors that are performing well aren't necessarily working harder than everyone else. They simply just have better information to hand so they can make better decisions. When you can see where the margin is being lost, understand your stock position across every branch, see your deliveries, and then connect all the pieces together, your branch, your warehouse, and transport, you're in much more control of the business. And ultimately, that's what helps distributors protect their margins, improve customer service, and put themselves in a much stronger position for long-term growth.
Thank you for that. essentially, once you can see where those pressures are showing up, the next question is how you fix them in the flow of everyday operations. So next, we're going to take a look at our final mile delivery solutions designed to help distributors like you make every delivery more efficient, reduce unnecessary cost, and meet the modern consumer expectations around visibility, accuracy, and communication.
So, first of all, what is ePod? So, our ePod app is an easy to use app that can be installed on phones, tablets, with use of iOS and Android. And it works in conjunction with a delivery planning module within ERP1. What does ePod do? It allows you to upload manifest for your driver, or your driver can do it themselves. The driver can optionally rearrange the order of drops prior to accepting it. And all transactional information is available: parts, quantities, contact names, phone numbers, and if there's any cash to be collected. The driver can then record notes relating to the delivery, take a date and time stamped signature, and name if required, also take pictures. If the delivery could not be completed, it asks your driver to record a reason why. How does it integrate with ERP1? So we have a dashboard, and when the drop is marked as finished, the details are automatically written back into ERP1. So you can view the signature from the sales order, you can view the picture. While the delivery is live, you can also go into the sales order and see a map, which is generated from the GPS of the phone. And in this workplace, you can currently see all of your vehicles that are out. You can see any live deliveries, what deliveries are waiting to be done next, and anything that has been completed. So what are the benefits? So obviously we've got more accurate data. Signatures are automatically date and time stamped. They automatically update back into ERP1, so no rummaging through paperwork trying to find proof of deliveries. And the most important one for me is the pictures. I can't remember the last time I signed for a parcel personally. The pictures come straight through and you can send them across to your customer at their request. So what's next? Introducing Klipboard notifications. So this is another layer we have added on top of our ePod app, which allows your customers to get text messages or emails telling them you have their order or when they're going to get their delivery and when the order is being delivered. So the challenge for our team was the hidden cost of delivery silence. The amount of time your team spend answering phone calls saying, when's the driver going to be with me? Where's my order? I can't find my order. Has it been delivered yet? So the team has gone away. They've started looking into this and they have come back with Klipboard notifications. Benefit straight away, build customer loyalty. If your customer knows they are going to be aware of every step of their delivery, they're more likely to come back to you. It's going to reduce support costs for you. So rather than picking up the phone to where's my order, when's it going to be here, they can be picking the phone up, taking new orders. Meet customers where they are, email messages, SMSs, they know where they're going to be and they can come out and meet you. And we can tailor all of these messages to your business. So integrated real-time advantages. So we can do tracking and updates. We'll integrate with our ePod application to capture really when it's going to be with them. Operational efficiency. So again, the real-time tracking will come across. We can simplify the tasks and we can plan efficiently to get our deliveries done. All of the emails are completely customizable. So as we can see here, we've just got a little layout. We've got some options down the side of things that will be able to be added into the emails. And same with the text messages. So we can name the template, we can build the template and say what we need. Down the bottom, it's letting us know our character count as well as SMS count to make sure that we are sticking to one message and your customer is not getting 3 texts every time. In terms of building your notifications, it's very much a if this, then that situation. So we can see here when the status group is changed and it's equal to delivered, we're going to send the email notification with the template order delivered. Just here we are, just a little snapshot of what they look like coming through. So now I'm going to deliver an order for you, and we're going to show you these messages coming through. So I'm going to start now by processing an order. I already have one here saved and suspended, so we're just going to open this one up. So when you start using ePod, you'll notice there's a few changes to your sales order processor screen. The first one being this date box. So now, rather than just seeing a date grid, we've got a list of 3 weeks. And going across, we've got our maximum drops for the day and how many are currently allocated. We've also got our allocated weight and the maximum weight we can take, as well as just showing it in a bit of a percentage downside, just to help us break it down a bit further. Down the bottom here, we can choose vehicle types. So if you know we need a certain vehicle, we can. We can also allocate delivery slot flags, just to help you with the routing. And we can also put on a delivery message that will feed through to the ePod app. On the front page, you're very familiar with the address, which will feed all of your ePod. We have the phone number, so you can call through the app. And quite a new one, down the bottom here, we have integration with what 3 words. This will take you to a website. You can get the 3 words and really pinpoint where you're delivering. So now we're ready to go. We're going to process the order. You can see all of the information, including delivery message on what 3 words, is carried across to this front page here. And we process the order. When we process the order, the customer will now receive a text message and very shortly an email as well. On the screen just behind, we are now in the delivery planning screen. So you can see along the top, we have all of our vehicles. And just down the side here, we've got our time frames. Down the bottom of the screen, we've got all of our outstanding deliveries for the day. And just going across, we've got the customer's name. We've got the delivery slot. And again, we can go through, if we've got individual products, we've got the product description, or we've got this little plus icon to open up the deliveries if it's a multiple line. We've got some notifications on restrictions for this customer. We can see the status of the order, as well as the total weight on the order and the total size it's going to take up in your vehicle. We've got the postcodes just to help you a little bit with the routing, as well as lines and any delivery messages. So I'm going to select all of my deliveries, and I simply drag them and drop into the allocated delivery time. We can extend this to make sure we're not double booking ourselves, so we can make sure we've covered all the time we think we'll need. And you notice it's only shown as 3 drops here. And that's because where we have the same customer with the same delivery address, it's grouped them into one delivery, meaning one signature for all 3 orders. So I'm just going to rearrange this delivery because this one said they wanted it just after 12. So I'm going to put this delivery to the top, and this is done by simply dragging and dropping. And we can see now, obviously, we've got all the postcodes in order. So I'm going to start by actioning this, and I'm going to confirm the orders. So this pick confirm screen is very similar to as you're used to using. You can select the order, and you can go through line by line if you so choose. You can 0 pick and put things to follow. In this instance, we'll put it back to 1 and confirm the whole order. You can also simply select the order and just tick confirm. That will process everything on that order. So now we're ready. We're going to process these pick notes, and we're going to go back to the action button. We're going to release the documents ready to be generated into a manifest. And now the customer will get a message just saying that their delivery is being routed. We can assign the driver. So I'll set up here with Chris. I'm going to be doing the deliveries today. So I'm going to put myself in there. And then finally, when we're happy with this, we can now export the driver's manifest. So we see here it popped up with a manifest number. which can be used for reporting at a separate time. So I'm now going to go over to my ePod app on my phone. So we've set our vehicle up with the registration and we're set up with the branch number. And I'm going to select Git manifest. So this is now generating the manifest for our drivers. So here we go. We now have our manifest ready to go. The customer has received a message saying that their delivery is en route, and this will be whenever there is the delivery is next. This customer will receive that. The driver can rearrange at this point some of his deliveries. Once they're happy, they can click confirm and accept this manifest. So we're good to go now. We can start running our deliveries. So I've selected my order. We can see down the bottom here, we have the What Three Words link again. And if we tap on that, it will take us to the website and we can use that to navigate if we choose. At the top of the screen, we can click the three dots and we can see the details of the order. So we can tap the phone number, and because we're on a phone, we can call out from it. We can go to the lines and we can view all of the individual lines on that order as well. So now, if we click on it again, we can report the incident. So we can, if the customer has an accident, reversed into a vehicle, they can report an incident, they can type in, or they can use the speech on their phone. Say crashed into a fence while reversing, and then they can save that, make any edits if they need to, and they can also attach a picture to send back, and that also feeds back into the workplace. So once they're happy with that, that is all added. And on top of this as well, we can do an ad hoc collection, which works exactly the same and feeds back, so if the customer is sending something back to them. So we are now going to start the delivery. So when we tap on the start button, we have set our app to take us straight to Google Maps. This can be turned off. You can use Google Maps, Apple Maps, and Waze. So once we're routing, we are now at the drop. So we can start by clicking on complete drop. And we've got the option here to complete the order or mark it as undelivered. Again, we can put any notes we need to about the delivery. So if we've left it at the gate or back of the door, we can type that in, or we can use the speech function again. We can add a photo as well. So I've just put one from the library here rather than a picture on my screen. We've added that photo, and then we can get a signature for the delivery. So it's pulled across the customer's name from ERP1, but we can choose to change that. So someone else is on site, we're going to edit the delivery, and I'm going to sign for it. So we change the name to Ash, and we put in a signature. At this point, the customer gets a satisfaction, thumbs up or thumbs down, completely up to them. This will feed back into notifications. And finally, there will be a message.
I'm now going to pass over to Sam Voke, who is a sales engineer with our partner Netstock. Sam is going to talk us through the challenges that inventory-driven businesses face and the range of capabilities that Netstock offer to help solve these challenges. Over to you, Sam.
Thanks, Lydia, for the introduction. Today's webinar focuses on a challenge that many inventory-driven businesses face, reducing the cash tied up in excess, obsolete, and hidden inventory across multiple branches and warehouses. Many organizations believe they have an inventory shortage. In reality, they often have enough for inventory. It's just in the wrong location, in the wrong quantities, or invested in the wrong items. This creates unnecessary working capital, increases carrying costs, and impacts customer service. Now, Netstock offers a wide range of capabilities to help solve these challenges. However, with the time we have today, I'll focus on the features that have the greatest impact on identifying excess inventory, optimizing stock across locations, and unlocking working capital while maintaining high service levels. Now, the business impact of these challenges include working capital, locked-in inventory that isn't selling, increasing write-downs and obsolescence, purchasing items that already exist elsewhere, less cash available for strategic growth, lower service levels because investment is in the wrong products. Most ERP systems can tell you what you have, where it is, and what it costs. But what they struggle to tell you is which items deserve investment, which items are becoming obsolete, which items are overstocked, which inventory could satisfy demand elsewhere. Now, that creates hidden excess. So to demonstrate how Netstock can help with such, we classify every single item, not only by value, but also by velocity. Now, this matrix here, it shows us our highest value, fastest moving items, those that we can protect and invest our inventory. The medium items, well, these are the items that we must monitor, keep an eye. Are they going to become AH, fast moving items, or are they going to slowly move into obsolescence? We'll tell you the slow moving items can make these candidates for non-stocked obsolete, reduce those stock. And when they do eventually become obsolete, let's remove or redistribute these. Instead of reviewing thousands of SKUs, inventory planners immediately know which products deserve investment, which should be reduced, which should never be reordered, and which items are quietly consuming cash. Without product classification, every SKU competes equally for your attention. With classification, you know exactly where your money should be and shouldn't be invested. But identifying excess inventory is only half the story. Netstock identifies excess stock by creating a dynamic min, max, and reorder point. And now that we've been able to identify the excess inventory at every single location, we can now see where it needs to go. So using our excess redistribution offering, we're able to show you which stores are overstocked, which stores are understocked, which warehouses could possibly supply other warehouses to bring it all into balance. And it's quite as simple as adding all the locations into this order, creating that order, and using our strategy, using our minds to understand which items that are in surplus or in excess should be shifted across to our branches to bring everything into balance. It's quite as simple as one quick review, identify the excess, the surplus by location, demand at another branch, and placing this recommended transfer order. Now, instead of purchasing new inventory, that already existing stock can be utilized elsewhere, maintaining our margins. The business benefits to this is obviously a reduction in purchasing costs, lower carrying costs, insurance, improvement of service levels, reduction in obsolete inventory, and an increase in inventory turns. Every transfer recommendation is an opportunity to release cash without sacrifice. Bringing both capabilities together, item classification tells you which inventory needs the attention, like this green item up here. Together, they help businesses reduce excess inventory, unlock working capital, avoid unnecessary purchasing, improve stock availability, delay or eliminate write-offs, Invest cash into faster moving products. Inventory isn't just stock on a shelf. It's one of your largest financial assets. Every pound tied up in the wrong inventory is a pound that can't be invested in growth. If you'd like to see how much working capital may already be hiding across your warehouses, your network, we'd love to show you. Thank you for joining me for this very short product demonstration.
Unfortunately, we have run over time today. We will get back to you with any questions that you've popped in the chat, and make sure to sort of send out the answers to those questions in an email follow-up, along with some of the other resources that Rich mentioned. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.